So, hello.
Hi there.
We are not live today, but we are going to record it and post it later in the group.
Oh, right.
So
Okay.
we are
Okay. I
still
didn't realize
here.
that. Okay.
But
Okay.
like I sent a message already to excuse us in the group, but I cannot then record it. So
Right. Then they will, it'll be on there in the next hour. So whoever's going to listen is going to hear it early enough for people on the other side of the world. Hello. I'm sure. I know that we're not live, but you will be seeing us. We haven't forgotten you.
yeah, and I mean
Yeah.
I've already let you know, everybody in the group. I'm experiencing internet problems since yesterday, and so I cannot go live and connecting to the Facebook group.
Yeah.
So we're recording this here and send it later on. So hello, everybody.
So I want to just say, I've just, because you're sitting like this, I really get to see your raven. And she is really beautiful. So beautiful. Yes, almost reminds me of, we have, you remember when you were living here, we had lots of, what do we call magpies? Do you remember having the magpies here in England? So they have white on the front. They're crows. They're like ravens. Yeah, they're white, and and so you've got some white over here. So that's what I was thinking about, the magpies that we have, the kind of crows, which a raven is part of the family. But
I took actually quite a lot of pictures last year. I was in London in December last year.
Right,
and
right.
I took many pictures of ravens there in London. I just probably didn't know that they're called magpies.
Ah, right. No. There's ravens, there's magpies, there's crows. There's quite a lot of different from that family here. Quite a few. There used to be a time they used to shoot them. Now they don't. Obviously, they don't do that now. Yeah, but is that a Kansas sign as well? I was looking as well. It almost looks like a Kanash. What's the one that we had the other day, which is like this shape?
Kanashroon,
Kanash.
yes.
Yeah, it looks almost like a Kanashroon. Was that intentional?
Where does it look like a Kanashroon?
The image that I'm seeing, when you sit back, if you look, you'll see it's got a shape that's almost like this. The white part is almost like a Kanash.
Oh no, that was not intentional. That were meant to be her wings.
Right. Okay. But that's interesting. There's never a coincidence that I'm seeing that as that aspect. So that's interesting because we've had it. Yeah, slightly.
Well, it might look like this maybe from the distance, but it's actually round.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
in Kenash, it's really like this.
Yeah,
like,
it's very square. Yeah.
Like really sharp. And this is like a wave.
Yeah.
Like
beautiful. Yeah. You are
it's interesting that you mentioned ravens, because I write over the 12 days, Christmas days. I always write what comes up for me for the whole month. And since we're in December, and I was in London last December, so I was making the notes which came to me. And the ravens plays a very important role in my writings about this coming December, this month.
Right.
But the raven which I've seen in London is also for this month right now. So the bringer of all wisdom.
Yes.
So it's interesting that you mentioned her. And healing. She's bringing lots of healing.
Well, she looks like she looks very, what's the word, regal. She has a very regal look about her. Very
regal.
sovereign.
Regal. Never heard that word before.
Well, what can I say? You're learning. This is regal. We're all wanting to be sovereign. So when we're sovereign, we need to be regal. Regal is about owning that power and standing in it in a particular way of being. That's regal. Yeah.
Okay. How do I write this?
You have it. You have it. I see it always in you.
Thank you, love.
I do. I often sit there and think, oh, yes, that's the beauty. You've got that lovely ability to energize and see things in such a beautiful way. And then you have this other side that is, yeah, like the sovereign. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I wanted to write down the new word regal. How do I write this?
Regal.
I love learning new words.
Yeah.
Regal. I hear the whole time eagle in it. Regal.
Yes. Yes.
Eagle.
Exactly. And the
Yeah.
eagle's quite important for you too.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like a royal eagle.
And the birds in general, like the raven and the eagle, who have got the observer eye, they can rise above it all and just look. Yeah.
Well, as you said, shapeshifters, they're able to suspend gravity or defy gravity, and they use the air as a way to be able to move from place to place without having to literally walk. They can fly, which is so nice. Yeah. And having
Such
that
great
bird's eye
bridge
view.
builders.
Sorry?
Such great bridge builders because they can be on the
Yeah.
ground and they can rise. And
yeah,
so real bridge builders between all worlds. Yeah, amazing. So today we have got the Queen. We're meeting on day 12, the fourth circle of the Nav, which is from the ancestors, from our roots, from the underworld. The Queen.
Yes. So the queens are regal.
The queens are regal, yes.
All right, I'm going to just let us.
And the symbol really looks like it as well. The symbol, like, for me, it shows like all different dimensions.
Yeah.
And like magnet, because she stands for magnetism.
Yes.
Can you see that? Because today we are doing it over the mobile phone.
I can see it. Yes. Yes. Okay. In a way, it almost looks like two upside down trees. Traveling the worlds.
So she stands for magnetism. The affirmation is, I know what I want and do it. The usage, like a magnet, attract what you like in life. People, money, ideas, advice, help. And she stands for total clarity.
It almost looks like she's got those the three bars. And when you're thinking about magnetism, they're close together. So and just where my eye is going.
Certainly looks like a magnet to me.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. It's almost like I'm with the way that is. It's almost like I'm seeing current running through the lines
Mm.
because of the way, certainly the way you've done it here. I know what I want and I do it. Okay. I'm just going to put that in.
Should we wait for the picture, or should we do the prayer already?
Do the prayer. Let's do the prayer while I'll wait for the picture. You do the prayer and we'll come back to the picture.
Okay. So let's invite the Queen.
Yes.
May the Queen be with us.
Yes.
May all beings have happiness and the cause of happiness. May all beings remain free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all beings remain connected to sacred joy and happiness that is totally free from sorrow. May all beings come to rest in feeling of security and peace. May all beings be happy, content, and fulfilled. And so be it. Yesterday, the candle, it burned down on one side and it was really like flowing, like the whole wax was flowing. I actually made a picture of it because everything has got a significance and doesn't happen for a reason, without a reason. And that looked really like this picture of the overflowing cup.
All right. Yes.
And luckily I've got like underneath on the paper and everything, so it didn't destroy anything. It was really just like, I love the wax, like really flowing and builds like pictures and everything. Yeah, looked really very beautiful, like this overflowing cup, like I mentioned today.
Yes, 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 yes. Yeah. And yes, well, the cup, isn't it, in the sense of holding spirit, holding us, and maybe there's something about how that's shifting. So when it happened and you had the overflowing, what did it mean for you? What came up?
It happened yesterday during our creatrix phase, and it was at the end, and it had to do with this overflow of gifts and possibilities and this rainbow, which I also embroidered then in my creatrix.
Yeah.
It has got to do with this overflow of possibilities, what the creatrix has opened up the space for yesterday's.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is what it stands for.
Yeah. And it's interesting. And I suppose what came to mind was when you were kind of going back over the KDP with the books, and I'm wondering whether there's a connection in the sense of about a rethink and a different way in which things were going to flow, which was not in the way we expected, but in another way, the way you expected. Yeah, because when you put things into the KDP for the diaries, you found out that you couldn't have the size you wanted.
Yes. Well, this is for the calendar. I'm currently doing the intercultural calendar. And I wanted to upload it to KDP yesterday to have the German version, to publish the German version, already totally excited to pass it on to the local NGO so they might buy it for Christmas. And what happens is that this special pocket size is not accepted by KDP. Yeah. And so I have to redo the whole thing again. And still not knowing whether it's going to be accepted, because I still want to stay with this special pocket size.
Yeah.
And I don't want to produce it in a book size. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's a new learning experience. I've got a course which I follow, like for our journals, for example, which we would like to give to everyone after the challenge. But there we can use the normal size, like the book size for it. This is a totally different size. So I'm learning by going with it.
Going with the flow.
And yeah, go with the flow.
Letting the jam go.
And mistakes are always part of that, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of times when we do something for the very first time, because we don't know how it's done properly, things like that happen. So I'm still I have to learn to now go with the flow with these challenges which come up, yeah, and also with today's like internet issue. So still go with it, because I mean it's annoying. It goes on my nerves, but I can still decide: am I going to be in resistance with it, or still make the best out of it? You know, hoping that it's going to come on today and that I'm going to continue to incorporate the mistakes and still publish it. And then looking back and say, like, okay, I learned it for the future. If I'm going to become a specialist to produce this special size calendars, then I will know.
You will know. You will know. This is about that flow. And maybe even just building new flow, just new streams, so that that barrier that was there is now flowing, if there was anything.
Well, yes, thank you for the reminder. I hope it's flowing. At the moment, there's a little dam, but this is part of life, isn't it? It's like that happens, and it's what we do out of those dams. It's important.
Yeah. Well, you took photos of it and you said it was so beautiful, so we know that something very beautiful and creative is going to come from it.
Yes, and the main content is already all done. The whole year festivities, everything is there. It's just a matter of like bringing it into a different kind of format, and there are so many little things. I think the graphics, so people here between us who have done things like that, they are like little milliliter thingies, corrections, which are still very important to do before things are looking good and acceptable. So it's a matter of staying put and practice patience, patience and trust. Yes, and like the queen, I know what I want and I do it.
Exactly.
So I still want to get this calendar done. So and stay put. Yeah.
Well, it's nearly done. It's nearly done. It'll just be there, and it'll be like this one little click, and it'll be there. So once it's all in the right space.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
Do you want to pull your card today first?
Should I go before the tarot card today?
Yeah. Well, if you do the oracle first. Oh.
It fell down. It's not stable. Should I do the oracle card before the tarot card today?
I don't mind. We can do both. I mean, what would you prefer? I'm quite happy to do either way for a change, a difference.
Okay. If you failed to have a change, let's do the oracle first. The witness.
The witness.
Mm.
My glasses on, so I can see that clearly.
Oh, she has got antlers.
All right. Mm-hmm.
Like the white
Like a deer?
snake who has been supporting me
Yes.
most recently. The moon above her. The all-seeing eye is there too.
Right. Where is that? I can't see the all-seeing eye. Is it the one on the top? Right?
Right
Oh,
in the
there.
middle.
Okay.
Can you see that?
You need to bring it that way. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, I can see it now. Yeah. The way it's looking, it looks like it's got a light coming out the top part of it, so you don't see it as easily.
But this is so interesting because the Algish rune, which has also come up in connection with the antlers of my deer,
Yes.
my white stag Belovotia has got also the Algish runes everywhere, because this is like the shaman with open arms receiving divine wisdom, and it really looks like antlers. And very small in there's also an Algish rune. This is so amazing.
Right. Oh, yes, yes, yes. I can see.
And of course, the eye, which has come up, especially for me with the wise one, the raven, has got 7 eyes around her. Or the witness. Of course, I will make a picture and send it, yes, later on with the report. Should I do a rune to go with it?
Sure. Why not? Why not?
Oh, I do daily rune readings as well, but this is in a German group, and this is today's rune as well in my German runes group.
Right. Okay.
Nautids. Nautids. It's a very misunderstood rune. It stands like for like danger or like when we have got a lack of something, but this is a very misunderstood rune. This rune, we needed it to invent new things. Like if we would have not have had cold, for example, we would have not invented fire.
Exactly.
It looks like 2 pieces of wood coming together, like create fire.
All right. Okay.
So the German word, it's not, it's like in danger. When we're in danger, then we do fire or something like SOS, like for somebody to help us. And this rune shows hardship, but also the space to invent new things.
Right.
Yeah. Nautids. So
yeah, it is, it's funny how we get so scared when we see something that says something like danger or something that's about change, and we don't think of it as something that's really the opportunity rather than the other. So that we have to, the very first thing that we experience as a child is we learn to walk and we learn to hold things, and they require us to let go.
Yes.
They require us to let go, like we need to fall in order to walk. Yeah. So you watch
Yeah.
babies, they kind of bang, 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 bang. I don't know if you can remember that. But it's really funny listening to them, because you just really you can really hear it. And the thing is, what happens is, because they're actually landing, they're literally landing, and they're not actually walking yet. They haven't learned how to do the projection, with their feet yet. So they're doing this. So it's quite interesting. But in order for them to learn, they have to actually do liftoff.
Mm-hmm.
To walk properly, they have to do liftoff. And in actual fact, to even start the walking action, they have to learn to let one leg go and move forward, and and let the other one support them. So it's a really interesting paradox that we've always got to let go, or we've always got to shift in order to move into the next space. So
Let's go and let it flow.
Yeah.
Let's go and let it flow. This is my mantra.
Yeah. And definitely your candle's telling you that.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Let go, let it flow, with the rainbows.
Yes, today I actually repaired the hole, so it cannot flow over.
Oh, you dammed it up again.
Yeah, because I cannot have the wax on the floor and everywhere, so it still needed some adjustment in the flow. Yeah.
So a controlled flow.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of like
Knowing how to use the fire as well. Lots of wisdom about how to use the fire.
Yeah.
It's my whole life's task as a double Aries, to learn how to use the fire in the most productive way without burning myself out or others.
Yeah.
So this is a very good example for that as well, with the candle.
It's a very powerful metaphor and a very powerful message that you received yesterday.
What has got the tarot gotten for us today?
Okay, well, the tarot is interesting. So what I'm going to just do is I'll just give you the aura first. So the aura is the colors are a little less colorful, so we'll see what they're like after the balance. But it's sort of that greeny color here, but not very bright. And there's sort of pinky up here. It may look a bit, and then there's sort of this pink, much more pink over here, which looks blue, but it's actually pink. So but they're more mottled. So that's kind of like it's sort of saying things are shifting and changing. So that energy isn't as forceful yet. So it needs. So we'll go into, if you think about, we are the onion, and we're going into different layers. This is just one of the layers that we're going into. And it looks like it's more the world around the green area is sort of like the middle tree, or the middle part of our body. So we'll have a look. So I'll let that one do a balance now while I'm at it, now that we've looked at it. And I'll just balance it. And the card we got is the Judgment card. It's card number 20 on the tree, but it's Judgment, women's work. Judgment.
Okay.
And in the tarot, it's a really interesting card, because it's the last card before coming down into the earth plane, fully into the earth plane. So coming in what we call Malchut. So it's really attached to bringing, and it's interesting, it's female, it's women's work. It's kind of like it's really about birthing. Yeah. I know it's women's work, yeah, but having a baby is women's work. Birthing.
Yes, exactly.
Exactly.
No man
So,
can do that so far.
and it's interesting where, as I said, where it sits in the tree, it's the last one before birth. So it's, the next one is birthing. So that's quite interesting. Yeah.
Well, that's so exciting because my brother's wife is about to receive a baby any time because her due date was
Yeah.
Saturday. So obviously, like it could be any day now. it's a,
Yeah.
it's a really obviously in the field, like a literal
Yeah.
birthing energy. And
Yeah.
of course, between the two eclipses and the 21st of December is said to be that the Bethlehem star, like the birth
Yeah.
of the new age of Aquarius. So we are really in this very potent birthing
Yeah.
stage at the moment. Mm.
Yeah. In the Ride Awake, you normally have the angel calling all the souls up from the grave. And it's about the resurrection. It's about people coming back into the fold, about coming together, lifting up. So it's a really positive card, really. It's a glorious celebratory card in a way. And birth is a celebration too.
Yes,
So,
definitely.
and it's a rebirth card. Yeah.
And the weaving, what we are doing here, it's
Yeah.
women's work as well. I
Yeah.
mean, of course, men can do it as well, but most of the time in human history so far, it were women coming together in circles
Yeah.
to weave. And this is exactly what we are doing here. I mean, I see it as a big circle. Even if we meet live, everybody who's holding the thread is part of this women's circle,
Circle.
which
Yeah.
um, yeah, which is very present for me. And there's a special power when women come together in circles. Is different than when the men are there as well. It's not to exclude men at all. I always want to make it clear because I
Yeah.
love men and they bring their own unique energies, of course. But it's like the red tents were all just with women because we women menstruate, we women become babies, and in a very traditional societies, like after the birth, like it's only women looking after the woman. Like in red Russian societies, the 40 days after the birth, where the woman is alone with the baby.
Yeah.
The husband, the father is not allowed. And she is supported by the circle of friends who are doing everything for her. They cook for her, they massage her, they make sure that she's bonding only with the baby. And this is something sacred just for women. Or like when we bleed, of course, we just want to be with women, yeah, um, who bleed themselves. So it's not to exclude the men, but certain things just done with women. It's got certain energy.
Yeah, and I think it's also it has a lot to do with how we are really into doing things with our hands a lot in a very specific way. And
Mhm.
it is also about being able to be very fine detailed. And
Yeah.
that's something and we tend not to get as, let's say, bored. It's interesting. I mean, I know that it sounds really odd, but I mean, a lot of, because of the kind of energy we have, it's not really up and running. It's really more an energy of calming down and being like the water. Yeah. And so it allows us to sit, and that's probably where women tend to do work that's quieter. Not all, not all the time, but in general, when it's that quiet time.
But I think we have very cyclical natures
Yeah.
because sometimes we are very, very wild. It's like
Yeah.
doing the whole rituals, like fire rituals, for example, it's very, very wild.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, handcraft is more quiet work, like meditative. But I think everything has got its own like space and energy. And
Mm.
being like living a life conscious is like doing rituals, like with certain intentions.
Yeah.
Like And if it's the intention to celebrate like the summer solstice, where we jump over the fire, yeah, of course, it's wild and we dance wild, yeah. But for this, the intention is to invite the goddess and to embroider her. And this is something quiet and meditative. Yeah. I think it's so much power about the intention and the awareness where we are at the moment to be true co-creators. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I think that it's no coincidence that women tended to do needlework where it's not something that men tended to do. They were doing other work in general. So I think there is a natural way where we would probably select, and doesn't mean that you're going to not do jumping. What it is that there's a kind of a preference to the kinds of meditative practices that may occur. And we like group. It's one thing you can do as a group. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I find it interesting that in a lot of traditions, like with goldwork embroidery, like of these heads, they are called betaikas. Traditionally, there were men doing it. Or like the Chinese monarchy, because silk comes from China, so it has got the longest tradition of this embroidery from China, and there were all men doing it. Or like in Buddhist monasteries, like I visited lots of Buddhist monasteries on my travels through Mongolia and through Siberia. One part of Siberia in the south, Ulan-Ude, there are lots of Buddhist lamas. And I visited lots of their monasteries also to eat vegetarian food because outside of these monasteries, in those cultures, there's not much variety for vegetarians like myself. But with this Buddhist, we ate the best food ever in the world.
Sure.
And that because my journey with the Trans-Siberian Railway was also based researching different embroidery styles. I learned a lot about this very, very old silk embroidery, which takes years to complete one picture.
Yeah.
And it was done by Buddhist monks.
It
was purely men doing that. Yeah. Until now, there's one certain style, like of silk embroidery, which only men can do. And also this Tobetaika, it was also only in the last 100 years when it became more modern that women have started to do it. But this very old mastership, which is most complicated goldwork embroidery coming from the royal families of Uzbekistan. Because Tobetaikas, the very first one, actually come from Uzbekistan.
Yeah.
It has got a long tradition of men doing these Tobetaikas, which I found very interesting when I was doing this whole research about embroidery. Yeah. Interesting.
It is. And then I can always think, why do we call women not chefs but cooks? And often chefs are men.
Yeah.
So there's something about
this is patriarchy.
Status thing that comes with that. That's just
yes,
my.
I think so too. Well, because so far, the development of civilization was matriarchy first.
Yeah.
And then patriarchy, and we are yet to birth this real co-creative society where masculine and feminine is in balance. We didn't have that before. So I see it still as part of that the man took over a lot of female domains. Yeah. Anything with healing, medicine, and spirituality, everything has been taken over by the patriarchy. And I think that's why also the embroidery was taking over. Obviously, monasteries, when they're only men, who are then the artists to do the costumes for the monarchy?
Yeah, only men.
These are the men too. Yeah. So it had to be the men. But I think that must have been the reason why it has then been taken over.
Yeah.
And now it's open for anybody who likes to do this kind of art.
Let's take a photo of this. I can take a picture. Yeah, I was busy reading up on what is it Shelley did? No, it wasn't Shelley. It was Brandy that was talking about Yahweh and Asherah. Yeah, that was really interesting when they talked about how what happened with when they first decided to get rid of the Canaanites, or rather tame the barbarians, which are the Canaanites. The Canaanites had Asherah as the female goddess, and they believed in, you know, the two trees in Eden, so the tree of life and the tree of knowledge. And yeah, it was just really interesting because I had remembered I'd gone to see someone because I wanted to find out something that I wanted to trigger about why I had fear of water, you know, deep sea diving. And I just went to see her, and I didn't know what she did. It was called the Ravenscroft method. And basically, when I arrived, Ravenscroft, yes.
There's the raven.
Oh, that's an synchronicity, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
And what happened was that she just said, "Where's that feeling?" Touched me, and I was gone. And I saw this long line of women. And it was like this. It was going round and round and round and round and round. And then I saw somewhere in those lines were men, but this was just a long line of women, and some where there were women and men together. And it went all the way back to the Garden of Eden. And I thought, this is really weird. And there was the snake, you know?
Yeah.
And a really big black snake. And it said, "Oh, hello." Very weird, because it was quite sassy. "Oh, hello." So I said, "Well, where am I?" And it said, "Well, you're in Eden." So I said, "But that's a myth, you know, that's the story." And it said, "Well, yes and no." And then it said, "But I want to tell you that it's all is not as what it seems." So I said, "Okay, what does that mean?" He said, "Well, I'm God. I'm just another aspect of God." So, and I said, "Oh," he said, "Yeah." And it was a female that was speaking. Yeah. The sound of the snake. And, you know, and it was really weird because I was really Catholic in the sense I went to church every Sunday. I was pretty staunch Catholic. And then this happened. And it kind of really shocked my world a little bit, because it was
a little bit, I'm sure, big time.
Because I came back. It was not why I went there. Did not expect to find that. And yeah, and I came back and realized that actually everything that I had been told wasn't the truth.
Was wrong.
That, yeah, well, there's always some truth for something to propagate, but it's just that I didn't get the whole truth. And that was what it was about. Yeah. Really,
Yeah, what happened afterwards? What happened? Yeah.
Well, basically, I came back out and I spoke to the person, because I went because it was the fear of water. It was the fear of something like that. I thought, well, how is this connected to this tree of life? Doesn't make sense. But the water is where, at the bottom of the well. Now I know. While I'm talking to you, I've now got an answer, because remember, the well, the well where the giantesses sit. Yeah, and they use the well to feed the tree.
Yeah.
And that makes sense now. And yeah, okay, so that made sense. I can now understand something there about that, which I hadn't made the connection with.
That's this deep well of wisdom. It came up with the wise one. My main core message is true wisdom is in the unknown. It is like this dark ocean or the well,
yeah,
which has got no ground, and it is
the
dark.
eternal well. Yeah.
Eternal well, yes. There are actually three wells at the World Tree Yggdrasil, but the Utbrunnen is the original one, where the Norns take the water out from. And of course, speaking of Yggdrasil, I mean, it's not the snake, but it's the dragon, not Högr, who is at the root of Yggdrasil. And very interesting because he eats the roots of the Yggdrasil. And to me, I interpret it in the way like with the snake, similar with the snakes, which sits at the root.
Oh, yeah.
Like of Kundalini energy. And if we not learn how to use our Kundalini energy in the most effective way, this is where it starts to get detrimental, where really our life force energy is being tapped, yeah, and used up by other energies.
Yeah.
So that's why it's so important to get at the root and to heal your roots, because a tree above the ground is only as beautiful as the roots underneath. And that's why the snakes is such a potent animal, or the dragon, which is about Mother Earth, like about our rooted self.
Yeah.
And so many of us don't tend to those roots. And then we don't know how to use our life force energy in a most productive way. And I loved this story, what Brandy sent as well, because it really just summarized what we talked about yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like how the story about Eve was misinterpreted as well. And that Ashura, the wife of Yahweh, she has been the guardian of the garden, of the snake, wasn't she?
Yes.
The
Yes.
tree, the garden. These were all females' domains. But then she was just thrown out of the Garden of Eden. Be it Ashura, I've heard about her for the first time. So thank you, Brandy, for sending that. But it's the same with Eve. It's the same with Lilith. It's the same with so much of feminine wisdom. It has been thrown out, out of the picture. It doesn't exist.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Obliterated is literally what it was, wasn't it?
Yeah. And now this is the time of bringing it to the surface. Yeah, to recover this feminine wisdom. And I think this is the metaphor for speaking with snakes. It's speaking with your rooted self, which is underneath. It can be scary. Also, the well of wisdom, it's scary to go deep down. Like I experienced a very major rebirth when I swam in the Baikal Sea. And the Baikal Sea is the deepest freshwater sea in the world. Mm-hmm. It's over 1,800 meter deep.
Wow.
So if you swim a little bit out, it's like crazy. Like you do feel like, oh my God, there is like no ground underneath you. Of course, you're like scared. And this is our like deep nature, the dark nature in the dark. It's scary. Like snakes are scary. Yeah. Anything which is deep is scary, but at the same time, we need to go down to the root before we can rise and shine on the surface.
We have to make sure, and I'm guessing we have to make sure that we've cleaned all that needs to be cleaned. So we go down and we clean ourselves in a way as well of all those fears. We nurture ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah, it all starts with this not nurturing self-care and this part of the integration process. And before we have not integrated and found our roots, we can never get out there and stand in our full power and shine our glorious self, or know how to use this Kundalini energy, which is very powerful. That's why
Yeah.
many people who are not ready, they cannot keep the energy. I know quite a few people who ended up in a psychiatric unit, or who have
Yeah.
never been the same because they were not able to ground this energy, which is endless potential energy. Yeah. And yeah, and it can be very overwhelming if we don't know how to tame the snake
Yeah.
or tame the dragon. And for me, these are very potent metaphors for feminine wisdom, how to ride the dragon, how to speak with the snake, how to dance with the snake. Very powerful, sacred feminine wisdom. So, not surprisingly, in this story about Ashura, that she was the guardian and the speaker of the snakes. And I have to think about Games of Thrones, where there is this woman, the Queen Dragaria, who is
Mhm.
the mother of the three dragons.
Right.
Those are deeply seated archetypes, I think,
Yeah.
which try to make us remember of our power as women.
Yeah, so it was probably the only way we could keep our power was to make sure that we had these myths and legends and that they carried on existing.
Yeah. And that's where women came together, telling stories like we do
Stories.
now, just
Exactly.
sharing. And that's how we keep the stories alive and pass on the thread to others. And it was a very powerful weapon of the patriarchy to destroy this kind of circles, that also women
Yeah.
were like backstabbing each other, like the sisterhood would be destroyed, because a lot of men are afraid about that, Real powerful women coming together in circles, then is even more potent, the power. And I think it's part of the patriarchy to destroy this. I mean, that's why they try to do with the witch hunts, to burn all women, or that we were encouraged to save our lives, to tell somebody else, is a witch and everything. It's like the survival instinct. So a lot of this like sisterhood,
Fell away.
feminine wisdom has been really destroyed. And it has been done consciously. And a lot of times when we come together with women, most of us experience this, like being betrayed and everything that comes up
Mm.
in conversations, that we start to remember that it has happened at some point in our history. We have been betrayed by our sisters.
Well, I don't know whether you ever saw the film The Red Tent, which was the story of Jacob, Jacob's sister, who was a midwife. And the Red Tent is all about, women going and being the way we are, talking, celebrating, and honoring the goddess, actually. And what happened was they were betrayed by some of the other brothers' wives who didn't understand, who came from a different tribe and with just felt it was wrong. And so that it's the story of how women, how they systematically broke everything down. And that was
Mm.
so, yeah.
No, I didn't watch it, but I have to think about this book by Miranda Gray, Red Tent. a very great book about menstruation and how menstruation is such a powerful tool of how powerful we are as women. Because we are, through our menstruation blood, we are really connected to the moon and to the natural cycles. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just by the means of our menstruation blood. Yeah. And how powerful it is when we use it consciously. Yeah. Those energies which are weaving through us every single month. Yeah. So we have come up to 1 hour already.
That is amazing. We're here already.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm very aware of the snake right now, and that's sort of sitting with me. I'm also aware that the dragons, the solstice is another one of the dragons, isn't it? The first one's Ketu, was the dragon that took a bite out of the moon in the first big kind of thing. This on the 20th, was it the 27th of last month? So we've now got another.
You mind? Oh.
Astrologically, in the Vedic astrology.
We had a lunar eclipse, and now the solar eclipse is coming up now on the 14th, next Monday. The solar eclipse. Is that what you meant?
Yeah.
Yeah, we are in between the eclipse seasons right now, as we speak.
So a really powerful time.
Oh, yes.
Particularly powerful.
Very, very powerful. Speaking of the Queen.
Yes.
And we spoke about to use these powerful times like cosmologically, but it all starts with the grounding in our bodies, which is the most important thing. And to me, this Queen, she's so potent because you have to ground, and the black stands for our roots, for like ancestral wisdom. So for me, the symbol is very powerful grounding symbol of all those energies. The life force energy and the cosmological rebirthing energies, yeah. To really, as women, like the tarot card, to ground ourselves. Otherwise, we cannot birth the new without the grounding in our bodies.
Well, we can birth, but it won't be stable.
It won't be stable.
It won't be stable. So it's really about how do we ground it so that it's properly earthed, like a lightning conductor. How do we ground it so it stays and it doesn't fly off in another way?
Yes. And it's in the center, in the middle, which has got the longest lines. Yeah, so my wisdom for today is to stay fully grounded, to birth those new energies.
Yeah, my one is really about being aware of where there are blockages, or where are we, where we're, two things. We can see where flow is being affected. Is flow being affected because we have a blockage, or is flow being affected because we have got too much going? So where is the flow? So that's I'm going to tend to is where's flow?
Where's the flow?
Yeah, how is the flow flowing?
What do we need to let go of for the flow.
Well, the flow, like you said, what you did was you dammed up the flow,
Yes.
right? So that it was more controlled.
Yes.
So it's about where do you need to dam up and where do you need to let flow? So just having an awareness of those. So that's really where I am right now, what I'm thinking about. And probably those are my words of wisdom today, just to notice those two things.
Which of course fits very well with the witness.
Yeah, to observe, yeah.
And for me to really do practices to ground as well. About also taking the right actions, like yesterday to fill the leakage that is not harmful, the fire and the wax, the like lava hotness. And just now, as we speak, I also had to let out some of the wax because
All right, yeah.
Once during the session, the light actually went out because the wax was too full now.
Yeah.
Since I closed the dam, the wax was rising.
Yeah.
The light went off. So I had to release some of the wax, but it takes me conscious action.
Exactly. Yeah.
How to keep the balance and also doing the right movements, doing the right mental work, doing the right body work. This is part of the grounding, like the queen who lives in the present, in the physical realm. And she has to learn to ground all this crazy muse and creatrix energies. And
yeah, the queen is a ruler, yeah, and a ruler is a measure, yeah. So she needs to know how to measure, how to balance, yeah. So my thing is really about the in and outward flow is about how do you measure, which is what you've been doing, measuring where does the light get its maximum and where is it going to go out.
Yeah.
I'd forgotten about the queen as such, but now remembered another name for the queen is a ruler. So, and that's,
well, of course, the best ruler is someone who can rule in her own kingdom.
yes.
So being a ruler of own kingdom, that's the message.
And obviously, if you're going to have a kingdom, then you must have people that live in it. So your body. And about making sure that everything is functioning well within our body. So again, your balance has come up again. That candle has had a lot of information today.
Well, like every day it feels. But okay, so thank you very much. It's 4:07. Thank you. I will have a look how I can upload this video on YouTube, and then I will send a link of the live video from YouTube.
All right. Okay. I'm just going to quickly do that balance. I was busy doing this last stitch over there, so I wanted to be sure that I had one. Go for the next one. There we are. So it's moved into more dark pink, purple and blue and some white on the top. Can you see?
Yes, very blue.
Yeah.
Very blue.
Well, that's actually not, it looks blue, but that's actually purple. You'll see when it goes onto the thing, it's actually purple with a white, and the white is normally spirit. So normally when you see white, it's about spirit giving us and giving us information. So yeah, it cuts through.
Okay, we didn't have had the white so much before.
No.
So that's something new.
Yeah. I mean, we've definitely got magenta or purple. It looks more, magenta is more pinkish, lilac-y, sort of a more with the red tones that are in it. And then you've got some green that's sitting on the right-hand side and some blue. So, and we know that blue is the color that certainly on the Kabbalah, the blue is on the right side and so is green, which is interesting. And red is more on the left. So who knows? But it's got a different color. So, and it does look more vibrant. All right, so I will put those on, and hopefully you'll be able to. Oh, it is recording, so it should be all right to get it.
Yeah, it should be all right to upload it and then send it. Send the recording today.
Yes.
In our group. Okay, thank you very much, Shireen.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
And thank you, everyone.
Watching later on the recording, being on the thread with us. Like, yeah, it's always such an honor and pleasure to weave together in circle.
It is. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for making sure that you got on. I hope you didn't lose too much data.
Yeah, we will see.
We will see. Okay.
It's good as the queen still ruling our kingdom with all the resources that we have available.
We'll decree now that those people come and sort your internet out. All right, let's just decree it. We write it down and ensure that they do.
Yes, let's do it. Come out.
A declaration. A declaration. Okay, my love. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.